What's kicking y'all? Quick Panic here, and I am back with another episode of YuGiOh Duel Links TheoryOh, and I've got my buddy Pizzy here.
Greetings.
And we have a new set that's dropping in like 30 minutes. So breaking the fourth wall, we're recording this right before the set drops, and I'll be streaming a little bit of it tomorrow on my Twitch channel, which you'll see in the bottom right corner. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into this. We're going to go over the pack, and this actually shakes things up a lot because the World Championship qualifier starts at the end of this week. And this actually does have an effect on the meta. There's a lot of boxes that have been dropped that might have little to no effect on the metagame, but Pizzy and I believe that there are a few cards that might shake up the format, so we're going to go over those here. I've pulled this up on the Konami website, and we have the entire deck list, and if you click on these, you can see the entire effect, which is awesome. So we're going to go over these. Like, the cover card is pretty awful. That's Silent Swordsman level 7. It's really cool because he negates all spell effects on the field, but I don't think it's really applicable. It's really hard to get him out. So that's probably not going to be a big deal. But this card has caught a lot of people's attention. This is Nobleman of Crossout. And if you're not familiar with this card, you probably didn't play Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in 2004 when this was a huge relevant card. It actually was on the ban list for a little bit as limited or semi-limited. Do you remember, Pizzy?
I do not.
It's one of those. But anyway, Nobleman of Crossout is really cool because it lets you target one face-down monster on the field, destroy that target, and if you do, banish it. If it's a flip effect monster, both players have to banish their copies from their deck. So that last part is less relevant to what I'm about to talk about right now, but a huge deck right now that likes to set their monsters is Sylvans. So this card might have limited playability. It really doesn't do well against other matchups. It's debatable, depends on the game state, but this card could really make it hard for a Sylvan player to get going. What I've been thinking of is Floodgate Trap Hole and what is that called? Canadia? What archetype is that?
Yeah.
Paleozoic. There you go, Paleozoic. Paleozoic Canadia with Floodgate Trap Hole plus Nobleman of Crossout would make it pretty decent. The other two trap cards are standalone. Crossout obviously requires your opponent to set a monster, but the other two have defensive properties, which are really cool. What do you think about that, Pizzy?
I mean, I think Nobleman of Crossout will see a little play only by players who are getting frustrated by playing against Sylvan consistently. It's definitely worth noting that it does say if it's a flip effect monster that it banishes all the copies, but that doesn't apply to Sylvan monsters because they're not flip effect monsters. It's just when they're flip face up, so you'd only banish the one copy. I mean, in a slower format, I think Nobleman of Crossout would see a ton more play, but in this particular format where duels aren't going past like turn 3 or 4, I don't think that Nobleman of Crossout is going to be all that relevant. Mostly because I would love for my opponent to be playing Crossout and have them open with it in their hand because that means they're playing with 3 cards instead of 4. So it means that a lot of the combo decks would eat a card in their hand by having Crossout in their deck. So I think it'd only be like people who try to tech it if they see themselves playing against like a string of Sylvan decks. But other than that, I don't think it'll be all that relevant right now.
Yeah, so I was kind of excited when it first came up, but I had the same thoughts because Pizzy and I have talked about this before, and we have a format that has like 4 or 5 different decks that are viable, especially when you have this big World's Championship qualifier coming up. People have a lot of options as to what they can play, and Nobleman is really good against one of them, maybe 2 if you have a bad YuGiOh player, because most of the time they end up face up. It just depends on the game state, like I said. Or they can chain that Desert Sunlight and then Crossout fizzles. So that's unfortunate. But
Crossout would destroy Geargia. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, it would be good against Geargia, but if they have Sunlight, it kind of makes it poop. Mm-hmm. But I thought it was worth mentioning that you might see this, and it might be something you want to play around. If you can start your turn out with summoning a Carrot and maybe an Econ, I don't know, man, that's really tough. Because you get punished really bad if you don't play around Crossout, because that could be your startup card, whether it's a Rose Lover or it's a Sylvan Komostrumo.
Are you going to set Carrot Fighter?
Don't set Carrot Fighter.
I've done it.
Yeah, I've done it. Well, it gets you going. It can get you going. So maybe we'll see people evolving the way they play Sylvans, because playing something like Snipe Hunter, like Pizzy enjoys, or playing Providence again, I guess. Providence is still relevant, but maybe Providence, I don't know. We could see a whole lot of things. It's just worth noting. People are excited about this, so do expect to see it on the ladder. as you're climbing. Do you have anything else to say about Crossout, Pizzy?
Nope.
He looks beautiful, though. Look at those golden locks of hair.
I think it's funny they release Crossout in the same set they release all the Noble Knight cards.
Right? He's basically a Noble Knight.
That's what I'm saying. It looks exactly the same.
So this is a really cool card. I love this card ever since it came out in the Dark Monarch structure deck. This is D.D.R, Different Dimension Reincarnation. And this card has a lot of synergy with Dark Magician of Chaos, which is another fan favorite. Like, who doesn't like a Dark Magician card? But D.D.R lets you pitch a card from your hand. Any card, doesn't have to be monster or anything specific. Doesn't even have to go to the graveyard. But you discard a card, and that does not trigger Dark World. So stop. It's a cost, not an effect. But you get to special summon a banished monster from your banished zone into face-up attack position, I believe. Yeah, face-up attack. When that card leaves the field, destroy the equipped monster. But Dark Magician of Chaos banishes himself when he leaves the field. And when he comes to the field, at the end phase, you get a spell card, and D.D.R is a spell card. So there's a little bit of recursion there. So I thought that was worth noting, that'd be really cool to do something with. Do you have anything to say about this one, Pizzy?
I was just sitting here thinking about it. I didn't even realize that this card has amazing synergy in Archfiends because you just summon the big level...
you're right!
Yeah, you just summon the big level A guy and you banish any of the Archfiends from the graveyard, and then you just special them back with D.D.R, and that's going to be...
Ooh, baby.
I don't know if it'll push it into tier, but it'll definitely expand the amount of people that play Archfiends. Because most people who played Archfiends already have already dumped a dumb amount of money into the game to build Archfiends to begin with. So I'm assuming they're going to turn around and dump a lot of money to try to get DDRs to like speed up Archfiends.
Definitely
it makes their OTK ability like a lot higher now.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about it.
Plus, anything that you discard can be brought back with that Archfiend continuous trap. So that's pretty cool.
No minuses.
Oh, buddy. Sounds extra awesome. So there are a couple more up here. We have Grandmark, the Rock Monarch. Monarchs are all level 6, 2400, 1000 6-star monsters. And when they are tribute summoned, they get an effect. This one just targets one set card on the field and pops it. Pretty underwhelming, I think, to me. Maybe you hit a Komashrumo.
I don't think it's terrible in the current meta. There's a lot of stuff that gets set because it doesn't designate monsters or spells or traps.
It requires a tribute summon. It's a normal summon.
In certain decks like Sylvans or any deck that you can just special summon and get free tributes off, it wouldn't be horrible, but
it's not.
I don't think it'll see very much play. Yeah,
it's a rock. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Let's go Valkyrion.
Yeah, woo! We're going back to Magnet Warriors. That was actually relevant for a little bit. I miss those days. Xing Zhen Hu replica is another ultra rare we have here, and regular Xing Zhen Hu makes it so you have to target 2 spells or traps on the field, and they can't be activated as long as that card is face up. This one I think is pretty decent because it's like Fire Formation Gyoku, except Gyoku can fall right from the hand. Xing Zhen Hu replica targets 1 spell or trap card on the field, so instead of Xing Zhen Hu, it targets 1, but the card cannot be activated. Cards and effects. Oh, so nothing can respond to it. Okay. So with Gyoku, other cards can respond to the activation as long as it's not the targeted card. Xing Zhen Hu replica cannot be chained to. Cool. I mean, it seems decent. I don't think you'll see any play in the format now, but that could be something.
This card stinks. Like, Gyoko is just better because no deck really spams spells or trap sets except for Amazonas.
Yeah.
So Gyoko is just going to be better probably 9.9 times out of 10. So
true. Plus, it can just
I
fall
think it's a terrible ultra rare. It should be a super.
It should be a rare. So we have, this is something that I'm actually really excited about. In the TCG, I have actually been taking a break just because I don't like the current format. So I didn't get to see the Secret Six Samurai. This is a new, it's not a new archetype. It's new to the Six Samurai group. So these are new cards, Secret Six Samurai. We had Legendary Six Samurai. We had the regular Six Samurai. This is Secret Six Samurai. They have a fusion. I don't know what this effect is. Have you read this one yet, Pizzy?
It's not going to be relevant.
Oh.
It's got a cool effect, but it's only relevant. It's more relevant in the TCG than it is in Duel Links because in the TCG you can put 5 monsters, 6 Samurai monsters on the board with no problem. But this one you have to use all 3 of your monsters to bring this guy out, so it's not.
Well, let's find out. I'm gonna read it. I'm gonna still be excited. Pretend like my parade wasn't just rained on. So Secret Six Samurai Rihan is a 5-star light fusion warrior. And he requires 3 Six Samurai monsters with different attributes. If you don't know, the Six Samurai usually have varying attributes, so that's not totally difficult. But the fact that you have to use a poly and 3 more, let's see. Must first be special summoned. Oh, you don't? Okay, well then you
It's a tag effect.
must first be special summoned by sending the above cards you control to the graveyard. Well, this is getting awful. You don't use poly. Ah, man, there we go. Shut me down. Cannot be used as a fusion material. I get why you do that. Once per turn, you can banish 1 6 Samurai from your hand or face up on the field and target 1 card on the field. Banish it. That's a good effect. If a 6 Samurai monster you control would be destroyed by battle... So, same effect as all the other 6 Samurai. Well, that was trash. So Pizzy was correct. That's not relevant. If you like 6 Samurais and you like playing in bronze and silver tier, that might be your card. We have some more Steel Swarm support. I'm not going to go over any more of these one by one. These were the cards that I thought would be most relevant, barring the really cool Noble Knights that we're about to get. So I'm going to scroll down here. You see your entire ultra rare set. Here is the 6 Samurai monster you should care about, who is Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. Now, the problem that we've had with 6 Samurai so far is that you need to get another normal summon in, and most of the time you have to use double summon, which means you're using 3 cards to get 2 6 Samurai on the field if you're trying to do it turn 1. And that's just so you can get their effects off. This is awesome because Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai falls straight from your hand. You special summon it from your hand, and you can just summon, let's say, 6 Samurai Yaichi, and then you special summon Grandmaster. I can immediately activate Yaichi's effect and pop a back row on my opponent's side of the field, and that only cost me 2 cards, plus Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai has some recursion. So, I already talked about this. You can only control 1 face of Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai. I didn't mention that. What I did mention is, if you control a face of 6 Samurai monster, you can special this card from your hand. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card effect, you can return a 6 Samurai monster from your graveyard back to your hand. So that's super good. And I know Pizzy likes 6 Samurais. I mean, I pretty much covered everything, but do you have anything to add to that?
I've been tinkering around with a bunch of different builds to try to figure out like how consistently I could just kill my opponent going second with Grandmaster. I think that we're finally going to see Mokuba using Heavy Starter because you can run, if you run a Nishi, Grandmaster, and Shien, you're going to start with at least one of those in your hand due to Heavy Starter. And like I've been thinking about running like Triple Cyclone and stuff just to like remove back row, and then running like hand and Grandmaster to like just basically you could go hand Grandmaster Shien, use hand to pop whatever monster and just kill your opponent. And it's not that it's not as difficult with 20 cards as it sounds when I'm saying it out loud. But I think Grandmaster is going to be a really pesky problem for decks like Sylvan because you're like already not wanting to pop Grandmaster with Martial Leaf, and it gets over Komoshimo, which is just irritating in itself because it's just going to keep recurring, and it's 2100 is like an awkwardly large amount of attack in Duel Links to deal with.
Yep.
And literally, as long as you start with any of the normal summon monsters in your deck, you can just special Grandmaster out of your hand, and it probably won't go away. And so I think that this is like a really big boost to 6 Samurai.
Agreed.
Plus, like further down the list, when we get down there, they actually like brought some really strong spells and traps back for them too. So I think this deck is going to be played on a large scale, a larger scale than it has been for sure.
And it's something worth mentioning is you can use 6 Samurai Iru, and he doesn't flip monsters face up when he uses his destruction effect. So when he attacks a defense position, a monster, you just send it to the graveyard. End of story. So Komoshimo is not triggering off of that. So I think, oh man, like you could do Hand of the 6 Samurai, which tributes it off, but Iru just sits there on the field, and you can just go Iru, Grandmaster, Shien, and then attack with Iru, that monster is gone, and then Grandmaster and Shien is game.
Yeah, or if you decide to go the Sogen route, playing Field of Warriors on Joey, then then you have a 2300 Grandmaster sitting on the board, and that's just it's just going to be really interesting to see if 6 Samurai can like cut into the upper tiers. I think it's going to struggle with decks, of course, like Spellbooks that can just eat the normal summon immediately, so you can't go off. Yep. I think Floodgate Trap Hole is going to see a spike in play for the same exact reason. It's like if you can stop the first summon, then this deck just insta-loses because they have no recursion past that. But like if it's able to like connect and sit on the board, then this deck is going to be really, really frustrating to try to beat outside of being able to like banish some monsters as opposed to having them to go to the graveyard. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun to play. I'm excited for 6 Samurai. I think this card will be the reason that 6 Samurai is actually seen in the World Championship qualifiers coming up here. I'm going to skip. There's a bunch of other really good stuff, which we'll get back to. But Pizzy is right. There are some other cool 6 Samurais in here. And there are spell cards. Cunning of the 6 Samurai is one. I think it's a common.
Common. Okay. Okay, we also have Return of the 6 Samurai here. Trap Rare. Target 1 6 Samurai monster in your graveyard. Special summon that target, destroyed it during the end phase. So this is good for a second push if for some reason you get bodied and you don't get the first push, or your opponent has grit. Then Return of the Six Samurai gets you the 6 Samurai monster on the field at the very least, just in case your hand has like Grandmaster in it and Shien. Then you can bring back one of your 6 Samurais, be able to special summon your Grandmaster, and even though your other monster is going to die, whatever you special summon with this, he sticks on the field. So Return is decent. I don't know how many. I don't know. Would you run like 1 or 2? Maybe?
I would probably run 1, but it's also worth noting with Return that you can shed the destruction effect by destroying another 6 Samurai if you have 2.
Yes, that is true.
So like if you bring a Grandmaster back, which you'll just want the Grandmaster to die because it gets its effect, but if you have like a Grandmaster or Shien and like you brought back a Zanji and for some reason you want the Zanji on the board over Grandmaster, you can just destroy the Grandmaster instead, and then you'll get a bunch of other effects. But I don't think I'm going to run more than 1.
No, I think 1. I think 2 would be really pushing it. Okay, so this is an amazing card. Spirit of the 6 Samurai. This actually saw play in the TCG, and you can do really cool stuff like summon Spirit of the 6 Samurai, special summon Grandmaster, and then equip Spirit of the 6 Samurai to Grandmaster. It can prevent him from being destroyed by destroying that card instead, but also while it's equipped to Grandmaster, the Grandmaster of the 6 Samurai, actually it's any 6 Samurai, I'm sorry, but that's the coolest way to do it. It gets 500 attack and defense, whatever 6 Samurai this card is equipped to, and anytime you destroy a monster by battle with it, you get to draw a card. It has to go to the graveyard, right?
Yes.
Nope, it doesn't say graveyard. If the equipped monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle, nope, draw 1 card. Does not have to go to the graveyard. Not that that's super relevant right now, but dude, that's awesome. Like, how many would you run of this, Pizzy?
Just literally 1.
You think 1?
It's a 20-card deck. Like, if this was a 40-card deck, then I can understand, or even a 30-card deck, I can understand you running more than 1. But I think that the biggest issue I've been having when trying to make deck lists for this deck is very easily you get to like 15 cards and they're all monsters, and you still need room for like spell and trap removal or like recursion or any of that kind of stuff. But it's so interesting, like how focused I am on 6 Samurai now that Grandmaster's finally coming out.
Yes.
I've been talking about it for like 6 months. I was like, how bad would 6 Samurai be broken if they just got Kazan and or Grandmaster? And I was like, especially if they got Grandmaster, and then they decided to bring out Grandmaster before Kazan, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought Kazan would be like a watered down version and wouldn't be so bad.
Because it's not nearly as good as Grandmaster is, because I mean, Kazan, in case you don't know, it has the same kind of effect, especially if you have another one, and it gains 300 attack if you have 2 different 6 Samurais on the board. So when you're playing 3 monsters, it's even hard to get that part of the effect to resolve.
Yeah, he's 1800, 500, 4-star Earth Warrior, and like Pizzy said, but he doesn't have the recursion effect where if it's destroyed. But he also doesn't have the restriction to only 1 on the field. So maybe that's why they didn't want you to just drop 2 Kazans.
Well, you can't special summon it if you control another Kazan. It has to be a different 6 Samurai to special summon.
No, like if you were to summon like Iru, and then you could just go Kazan. Yeah. So here, yeah.
I just think it's interesting that I don't know if Konami actually pays attention to what like the Duel Links meta is, like if they go in and like pull data from like what is going on in the PvP world. But I find it very interesting that they do release Grandmaster at this particular junction in the PvP meta, because Grandmaster presents like a really big problem to every single meta deck except for spellbooks. Like, every other deck struggles to deal with Grandmaster specifically, because, for example, if someone is to try to, like, play a deck like Amazonas, like, Grandmaster gives you the ability to start dealing with all their monsters because it starts the normal summon 6 Samurai monsters effect. So, for example, if you have, like, Yaichi, then you can start popping back rows immediately. Or if you have Hand of the 6 Samurai, you can start popping monsters immediately. And the fact that Grandmaster itself can't be really clear from the board that easily, and if he does, he gets his effect off. And say you have another Grandmaster, then you get to grab that Yaichi or that hand back. It's just like really, it makes me really excited that like another deck is going to be entering in to the top tier, in my opinion, because like one monster comes out and all of a sudden the deck goes from being like tier 4 to being tier 1.5, maybe even tier 1.
Tier 4 might be being nice too. Right now it's butt cheeks, but
you can't win with it. You just can't win with it. But like Grandmaster does give it the ability to actually compete with all of these decks that are in the upper meta, especially with a deck like Sylvan. If your opponent opens Grandmaster in hand and you just set like Mushroom thinking you're safe, it just you're just gonna get blown out real fast, because then you're relying on like normal summoning Marshall Leaf. Or, like, even if you use a card like Tribute to the Doom or Snipe Hunter to clear Grandmaster, it's just going to come back next turn. So it's like, you better kill them.
Win that turn.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting.
So there are a couple more Six Samurai cards. We also have another secret Six Samurai, Hatsume. She lets you banish 2 Six Samurai monsters from your graveyard and or the field, and then target 1 Six Samurai monster in your graveyard, special summon it. It also has the protection effect. It's not that good, so I wouldn't worry about that one too much. It requires too much setup, and I think the way that the formats go right now, you need to be able to set up and do something. The next one is Secret Six Samurai Doji, who's a dark like Iru. When another Six Samurai monster is normal or special to your side of the field, you can send 1 Six Samurai monster from your deck to the graveyard, and it has the protection effect. I don't think that's good either. Do you have anything to say against that, Pizzy?
I think the art's really cool, but
oh yeah, art looks cool. Especially Doji. Look at him; he's holding a sniper rifle.
I mean,
like
if you're going to try to play some crazy like Return of the Six Samurai build where you're running 3 of the trap, this card could be good, but other than that, I don't think it'll be any good.
Yeah. Next up is Cunning of the Six Samurai, which is only a normal, which means it's a common card. And I actually think this is a pretty decent card, especially if we're talking about where you're starting with Hand of the Six Samurai. We're running 3 of those to max out on taking out your opponent's face-down monsters like Komashrumo or any Girgias. So you send your... So let's say, here's the theory. Your opponent sets Komashrumo. You're like, nice play, scrub. Check this out. Summon Hand of the Six Samurai, special summon Grandmaster of the Six Samurai. You activate Hand's effect to pop the face down card. You attack for 21 with Grandmaster, activate Cunning, and that's another 16. If you have anything else to back that up, you need 300 more effect damage points. So that's really good. It helps with OTK potential. What would you run this Pizzy?
I would definitely run at least 1, maybe two.
Yeah.
Because what people don't realize is you can also special the same. Say like you have a Grandmaster on field and a Grandmaster in graveyard, you can just flip them, and then you have a Grandmaster on the field and a Grandmaster in the graveyard. Yep. It's 4,200. So,
yep.
Like I said, I've been going back and forth between 1 and 2 in all the builds I have. I'll just have to test it out to see which is better.
Next up is Secret Skills of the Six Samurai, another quick play spell card. I don't know what this one does, because I don't know what any of the secrets do, but send 1 monster you control to the graveyard, then target 1 of your banished Six Samurai monsters, special summon it. I don't think we'll run that. Unless Pizzy.
I was running it in the heavy starter version of the deck I had because...
Did you have a Nishi?
To get heavy... Yeah, because in the heavy starter version you have to have a Nishi in your deck, so yeah. This card's only got synergy with the Nishi, so...
So that's Six Samurai. Six Samurai are going to be excellent. 100%. You can bet your bottom dollar. You can bet all your dollars. But I don't like advocate gambling or anything. Moving on, we have this is not a theme decked card, but Special Hurricane is a really cool card, and I think you'll see Sylvans play this, especially for the mirror match. It's a normal spell, super rare. Discard 1 card from your hand, destroy all special summon monsters on the field. What this does is, if your opponent tries to murder you on their turn, which is pretty customary in this game, you have the chance to survive on Grit, which I think Pizzy's playing it too, right? Yep. Grit is amazing. But you discard 1 card from your hand, so discard a Rose Lover, pop all the monsters your opponent just special summoned. Sylvans don't have protection effects. You get to banish your Rose Lover, and you get to reverse the whole process. So I think Special Hurricane will be good in Sylvans, whether or not you see it in other decks, potentially. But just the fact that Sylvans like to discard cards really makes Special Hurricane a lot better. Do you see any other applications, Pizzy?
Nope. Oh, as soon as I read this card, I said this is only going to be good in Sylvans.
Yeah. So, you might see it teched, but I don't know if that'd be amazing.
The only other deck I could see it maybe going into would be Spellbooks, but I don't really see that happening.
Yeah. We have Escalation of the Monarchs, which is, if you've been playing the TCG recently, it's very similar to the trap cards that we see played in True Dracos. But once per turn, during your opponent's main phase or your opponent's battle phase, you can immediately after this effect resolves tribute summon 1 monster. So you can tribute summon a Monarch on your opponent's turn, helps with the disruption. We got the Stalos up here. The Stalos was already released in one of the other previous sets. What are those called?
The selection
boxes. He was already in this selection box last November, December, whenever that was. But now you get him in
November.
December?
November.
Okay. But now you get him in a main box, so you can just spend gems on him. You don't have to pay cash. Thanks, Co-Money. But this is I think this is a pretty cool card. It's just really unfortunate that I don't think Monarchs are fast enough to do anything. Yeah, that's basically it. Plus, your opponent is going to try to dump their hand as fast as they can onto the field to overwhelm you. So picking a card out of your opponent's hand is Though, combined with Escalation of the Monarchs, you could screw up some of their plays. Could be decent. By Order of the Emperor is another super rare continuous trap for Monarchs. When a monster effect is activated, that activates when a monster is normal summoned, which is all of the Monarchs. You can negate the activation. Then the player whose effect of activation was negated, you can draw a card. So instead of pitching one from your opponent's hand, you can just go ahead and draw a card instead. That also applies for Martial Leaf. Anything else? Anything else relevant?
Nope.
Elemental Hero Blazeman.
I mean,
I said relevant though.
Oh, the Amazonas Princess?
Ooh, there you go. Negate, I'll draw a card, thanks. Wait, does the owner draw a card, though? The player.
It says you can name the player who's... Yeah. So...
Never mind. Don't do it.
I really don't think it'll get played.
Don't play the card. So I could do like an entire video on Noble Knights, but just know that these are... Noble Knights in the TCG were really underwhelming because they rely on equip cards, but these cards are so incredibly consistent. You've gotten so much support from here. We've had Noble Knight Midrot. Moving down to the super rares, we have Dristan. We have...
Boars.
Yep, Boars is in here. Artorgus doesn't really matter that much. We have Gwaine. Boars, there's Boars. Like, they literally gave us the entire Noble Knight deck, and I'm not going to go over every effect. Just know that these guys search out their own equip cards, and they replace themselves a lot of them replace themselves when they hit the field. They're just incredibly consistent, and I think that they are also going to be something in the meta. Just looking at the cards, going over the equip cards that we have, they have like paragraphs of text, which is why I'm not going to go over them right now. But
I got you.
Oh, okay.
All right, Gallatin, gain 1,000, and then whatever it's equipped to, every standby phase, your standby phase loses 200 attack. Aphrodeuter, you reduce the equipped monster by 500. I think it banishes whatever it destroys. Let me see. One set card your partner controls. No, it just destroys it. Caliburn, you gain 500 during each standby phase, and then Destiny, whatever it's equipped to, can't be destroyed by battle or card effects. But the most annoying part about the equipped spells is every single one of them, if they're destroyed by a card effect, they go to the graveyard and then you equip it to a monster.
Yep.
So, like, if you have 2 Noble Knights on the field, the equipped spells literally cannot be destroyed. They have to be removed, or else they will just sit there on the board, and it's just really annoying. The reason that, like, going off what Quick said, is the reason it's going to be really frustrating is because Madrat brings out Dristan, and then Dristan, when it's equipped, pops a face-up card on the field. And so those two are just going to constantly be on the field together because of the equip spells. So I really hate to say this, but if you do not have Cosmic Cyclones, I highly recommend you get on the selection boxes or you start grinding for gems. You're going to need them. I think that Noble Knight is going to cut into the top tier as well because it struggled in the TCG because you had a 40-card deck, so you really had to open really well. But now that we literally have almost all of the cards except for their Lone Fire Blossom, a 20-card Noble Knight deck is going to be very frustrating to play against because you're always going to have to deal with Madrat. Madrat's going to bring out Dristan, so you're always going to have to deal with both of those 2 cards because of restart. And then if they get a Boars off, then they're literally just going to always have all 3 of their spell and trap card zones are going to have equips in there, and they're just going to overwhelm you like the longer the game goes. Honestly, the only deck I can think of that could probably consistently beat Noble Knights is Spellbooks, only because Spellbook of Fate does not target, and so it can remove Madrat or it can remove Dristan because, you know, it does not target, so it gets around all their anti-targeting effects. But other than that, this deck is going to be very frustrating to play against. I highly recommend before you go into PvP after this box drops that you read up on what the equip spells do. I briefly recapped them. But this is going to be a very difficult deck to beat. I do think we'll also see a spike in Amazonas play because Onslaught does deal with the monsters because it just banishes them after they attack. It doesn't require you to target them or anything like that. But decks like Sylvans are actually going to struggle with Noble Knights because Aphrodite can just pop the face down, and they have a really high OTK potential because of the equip effects.
Yep.
I think Madrat can get up to like 3,800 attack with just normal summoning him. And then activating, or it's 3,300 attack with summoning him and equipping him with anything. And then, like, you bring out Boars or you bring out Dristan, and then you can just load Madrat with a bunch of equip spells, and then he's just a big monster sitting there. And, like, I hate to break this to any Sylvan player, but, like, normal summoning a Martial Leaf or having, like, a Snipe Hunter or having a Tribute to the Doomed or a Dark Core, any of these like discard destruction cards in your hand will not deal with any Noble Knight player who goes before you do. So it's I think it's going to be really interesting. I know that a lot of people on the stream the other night were talking up Noble Knights a lot. I didn't really think they're going to be that great until I actually looked at the complete set list. And the fact that they are literally missing just, I think it's Merlin is the Lone Fire Blossom. Yeah. This deck is going to be bonkers. I think it's going to be tier 1 for sure because, like, I'm going by the tier decks right now. Like, Heroes can't beat it because they can't get Anki to resolve because it doesn't destroy. Like, Destiny doesn't allow the Noble Knight monster to be destroyed. Sylvan, you have to be able to target the monster to destroy it, which I think one of them makes it untargetable, so you can't even do that. If you come with Shurmu, the spell and trap cards, or the equip spells, they all come back. So, honestly, if they open well enough, which is literally just Madrat and an equip spell, you better be playing Cosmic Cyclone because that's like the only way you're going to beat this deck. So
yes. So
it's going to be bonkers.
That deck is going to be amazing, and I think that further drives some of the point that Pizzy and I were talking about earlier. You'll probably see an increase in play in Floodgate because Floodgate takes care of this because you need to have your equip cards on monsters, and if you just stop that first normal summon, they don't have anything to special summon to like extend the play. So on top of your Cosmic Cyclones, also be picking up Floodgates, and Canadio would work too, except they can flip it.
And believe it or not, a easier to access card that actually does deal with some of these decks is Treacherous Trap Hole as well because sure, you're going to nuke your own monster most likely, but like Madrat sends the equip spell to the graveyard, so then he's just a monster on the board, and you can just pop him with Treacherous, and then he wouldn't resolve. So like, I mean, Treacherous Trap Hole, if you don't want to like dump into like money into packs to try to get Floodgates or anything like that, if you have Treacherous Trap Hole, it is another option to deal with this and Six Samurai.
Yeah. So just really lightly, you played Bujins more than I did. What is the most relevant thing we're getting from Bujins?
I mean, they're literally getting everything else. The Misuzuchi.
Quillen. I just realized Quillen's in there.
They literally now have every single monster in the game except for Crane.
Yeah, I was about to say Crane is missing still.
Because if we had Crane, that would be really unfair for Bujins. But I mean, you will see a spike in Bujin play as well. You can play it with Field of Warriors. So, what's his face? Yamato sitting there at 2k attack. They did release Turtle in this pack, which was like the last really solid monster they needed because they already had all the spell and trap removal with the previous set that Bujins were released in.
Yeah.
But I thought Bujin was the best archetype that was getting completed in this set, and then I saw that Noble Knight and Grandmaster was getting
yes.
Yeah. So Bujin is but that's yet another example of why Floodgate Trap Hole might be a card worth like looking at playing, because it's the same thing. Like Bujin is required to normal summon Yamato and have it sit there through the rest of their turn to actually get the deck rolling. So.
Yeah. On top of that, I'm just going to put this in here because I really like this card, but Dark Creator's in the game. It's probably not relevant, but you might see something with Grass. Just for the record, it's 2300, banish another Dark, special summon a Dark from the graveyard. That might be something. Anyway, this...
Archfiends.
No, Archfiends. Oh, there you go. Grass Archfiends. It's coming. Watch out. Video's already long enough as it is, but if you would like to see Pizzy and I, or listen to Pizzy and I talk about any other topics in the Duel Links meta, we're going to try to pull out one of these videos every week. Our schedules are kind of like conflicting depending on work schedules and things like that, but if you guys have a topic for us, that makes it a whole lot easier. We'll talk about that, bring it to you guys. We appreciate all the support on the last video. Thank you so much. Do you have any closing remarks, Pizzy?
I highly recommend utilizing the 1.5 booster until it runs out, I think, on Wednesday. I've been spending time using them at 2,500 gems.
Yeah.
But if you're really looking to do well at the Worlds format, honestly, just farm for Sylvans. It's going to struggle a little bit more with this box dropping, but it's still going to be the best deck in my opinion. So go get them, kids.
All right, guys. That is all we got for today. Hope you guys have an awesome day. Later.